Specimen 2 is a semi solid humanoid figure that is dark green in color with a bright green outline. His body is a bit of a gel like substance while the rest is solid, and he is the first enemy in Spooky Jumpscare Mansion Story Mode. The way to beat him is pretty simple. He has puddles that can slow you down, but it doesn't slow you down a whole lot, but it can be draining if you're in short rooms, because this guy can go through walls. And he's now basically. I mean, you can lower his chase by axing him as well, and overall, he's not a huge threat, but he can be a threat if in shorter rooms and rooms that are winding halls, for example. But Specimen 2 is an overall basic specimen, pretty simple to defeat. Uh, Hopefully, you know how to beat him once you first encounter him. And yeah, moving on to the next specimen in this guide.
Specimen 3, otherwise known as Choo Choo Train, the way I call it. He isn't that big of a threat in OG. In fact, he's just a joke. Not in my opinion, but to everyone else's opinion. He's pretty much like every time he comes out of the hole, he just shortens his chase. So really, my only advice is just to run. All you can do is run. You can axe him, but that's like the same thing as him coming out of the hole, so you don't really need to do that. And yeah, I'm pretty sad that he's really boring in OG. That's all.
Specimen 4, or Ringu, is a cannibalistic ghost girl. She spawns at room 165, and she acts as a typical specimen. She really just chases you for a few rooms and she disappears. She moves slightly faster than Specimen 2 and can phase through walls and pits, like, a ghost. While she isn't a huge threat in linear rooms, the problem arises in more complicated room layouts. Since she can go through walls and catch you off guard. To avoid being ambushed, it is recommended to keep a fair distance, but lead her around corners and turns. Once you hear her music fade, you're good. Congratulations, you've just survived objectively the best specimen in the game. I'm extremely biased, do not listen to me. I forgot to mention this, but she eats kids for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and doesn't care about the axe. I have 10 seconds left in this recording, Ringu Trivia Rapid Fire. She's inspired by The Ring, Ju-on, The Grudge, and other Japanese horror media. She has 3 other designs that didn't make the final cut. There's a photo of Kyubey from Sispu alla Madoka Magica in one of the classrooms in her locale. Alright, that's Specimen 4. Awesome.
Hello, Wasabi here. Today we're gonna learn how to deal with Specimen 5, also known as Bab. You're gonna ask me, but what the hell is that name? It's because in the game file she's basically named Bab, so most people just call her by that name. Her whole little shtick is that she walks toward you, so as long as you know how to press shift on your keyboard, well, you'll be fine. She also likes to mess with the wall textures, and that is pretty trippy, but she's not that hard to deal with if you have a basic knowledge of how to run. In certain types of rooms, you'll end up running into walls because of her weird wall effects, but to compensate, Bab is really slow and really dumb, so sometimes she'll just run into walls and spin on herself for some reason. I mean, she doesn't really have eyes, so she's doing her best. Don't shame her for that. She can hit pretty hard because you'll have 3 hits before you die from Bab. 1 hit from her is equal to half of your health bar. But there's a little glitch who makes Bab literally hit you into the afterlife. After 2 hits, your health will be in the negatives. Don't ask me how, I don't know. But you won't die even though your health is at minus 57, if I remember correctly. you won't die. You'll need a last hit to die from her, but as I said earlier, she's pretty slow, so you don't really have anything to worry about. You'll just have to try to remember the room layout. I know it's not that easy, but after going like 3 times into the same room, you start to learn how and where the doors are located. Anyway, that was all from me. On to the next specimen.
Specimen 6, aka Ben the Merchant, is a wooden puppet that is based off of Ben Drowned, and also the Happy Mask Salesman from The Legend of Zelda. His chase mechanic is far different from what has already been encountered in the game. You cannot just simply run away. You will have to keep an eye on him, as he is a weeping angel based off of Doctor Who. He will only move when you're not looking at him, but you can also use the axe on him if you have it. He will get knocked down for the entire duration of the rest of the room, but there's a 75% chance that he will. There's a 25% chance that if you use the axe on him, he will disappear and teleport to a different part of the room, and he can possibly hurt you. But if you don't have the axe, you must keep looking at him at all times. If you take your eyes off of him for more than 1 second, he will get closer to you. The most complicated thing about his chase, though, is when he spawns in each room. When he does is exactly 4 seconds after you enter each room. So you can run through most of the short rooms just fine. However, if a room takes longer than 4 seconds to run through, you will need to turn around because he will attack you if you don't. His chase duration is 15 to 24 rooms. The same goes for Specimen 8 and 11 as well. Keep in mind that in HD renovation, he works quite differently as far as his spawning is concerned. He will always spawn immediately from the entrance door. So there you have it, Ben the Merchant, Specimen 6. A much different mechanic from what we've already encountered, but overall a pretty easy chase, and certainly one of the coolest by far.
Well, hello there.
Specimen 7 is a constantly changing form, just like what Kato says. It erupts depending on the subject personality or trauma, but most commonly resembles a wall of moving anatomy called symbols, only effective on subjects with past trauma or a history of psychological issues. With the total fatalities being 93, the method for Specimen 7 is to focus on finding the door to the exit. While true that sounds like basically every past specimen you encounter, unlike other specimens with the base rooms for the game, Specimen 7 comes with its own sets of rooms, and the rooms almost designed like semi-maze room, making you lose or come to the dead end at least one time, making you backtrack. Some rooms has a straight way and some other has multiple ways, and my guide to that is the left way is always the right way. But even if you ended up in the wrong way, you still can make your way out. And the fact that Specimen 7 is much slower than the average speed for the player, so dying is rare. Just make sure you don't get distracted by the things on the wall, because Specimen 7 is a one-hit kill, so be careful.
Join us. Greetings, children. I am the narrator of Dear Lord. So sit back, relax. Let's begin. Specimen 8. Specimen 8, also known as Dear Lord, or Dear God, is a floating deer-like entity with his black cloak wrapped around his body. If he opens his cloak, there's no body under it, only eternal darkness and souls he's got, and keeps him there to suffer forever. He's also demonic looking like deer, who only attacks the violent subjects. To enter his area, you need to reach the room number 550, where you'll be met with deer, or fawns, the Lord calls his children. When getting the axe, you shall not take the opportunity to kill his children. Otherwise, when getting to and surviving his children, also called the violent deer, you will meet with a weird, ancient-like looking room with, well, some unsolved words. And around the room 559, this chase begins. In the original version, he's being quite slow. The only thing you, a player, needs to be aware of is his ability to go through the walls as a floating specimen. Have the HDR Innovation version installed, and you will meet the true, powerful Dear God. The true, powerful Dear Lord, who has the ability, since Halloween Update 2029, go through the walls, through his own portal, from his dimension, named Dead Forest, right to you at a very fast speed. So be careful. I guess our one and only savior did have enough, huh? Farewell for now, child. Praise be.
Specimen 9/Taker appears in his first form as a floating black and red, realistic-looking humanoid skull, with collarbones extending down to the rest of its torso, with studs where its limbs has once presumably been. Specimen 9 is the only specimen in-game in which DL Labs had to dismantle it due to its inability to be properly contained. Specimen 9 is a unique specimen that during gameplay does not have a chase sequence. The only way to encounter him during the 1,000 rooms is to walk down his quote-unquote locale, aka the long hallway, till you get stuck. Once you are stuck, after a few seconds, he will show up and kill you. Another way to encounter him is to stand still in game for about 1 minute and 20 seconds. After a set amount of time, he will charge at you and, you guessed it, kill you. When Taker is on screen during any point of the game, his chasing will start playing and then will abruptly stop after he kills you. Once killed, you will be faced with a black screensaver with the box that says, "Cat win!" The cat in said box resembles the icon in the cat DOS machine. The game will stay this way until you press any button on your mouse, keyboard, controller, you get it. After reenacting with the game again, his chase music will start again and lights will be turned on in what looks like a long hallway. Wink wink! As all the lights turn on, a door will be present. The door opens and yada yada, ooh, get taken by the Taker, to take the dead. Oh wait, I was only explaining his first form. Taker appears again as the game's final boss. After going through all 1,000 rooms, Spooky will be disappointed and decides to put you up against one final challenge to prove that you're just so cool and awesome. This challenge is to, of course, fight Taker. In his boss form, he now has a full body, still black and red, but for some reason, in this form, he loses his jaw, but in his head form, he has one. It's confusing, it doesn't make any sense. Moving on! In all honesty, his fight isn't really that hard, to be honest. He has 4 standard attacks, being screaming pillars that shoot out of the ground, hands that also shoot out of the ground. These hands are also all left hands, and left hands are usually a sign of evil, haha. Anyways, he also summons little henchman creatures in an attempt to kill you, duh. Well, after these attacks are done, he fires a fireball at you, in which you have to deflect said fireball at him in order to stun him. Once stunned, you can finally attack him with your trusty axe. The sequence is repeated till you kill him. Of course. After you kill him, woohoo! Yippee! Game over, you win! Rest in peace, Taker. Whenever he was born to 2014. Sad face. Bye-bye!
Specimen 10, dubbed Parasite in the game's files, may seem unremarkable at first. Its concept and appearance are heavily inspired by various parasitic aliens in pop culture, including the necromorphs from Dead Space, the xenomorphs from Alien, and the titular monster from John Carpenter's The Thing. And look at that body plan. It looks a little suspicious, if you ask me. For most of the game up until this point, you spend most of your time running away from the threat and never looking back. Well, except for one anyway. Whether it's because you're too scared to look at the monster, or because you simply can't be bothered, Specimen 10 makes itself known as one of the more mechanically unique enemies in the game. The last note you read in its locale provides a clue as to how it behaves. You have to keep it close. It becomes something else when it gets too far away. Something I can't outrun. Indeed, Parasite punishes you for being a wuss, or a speedrunner, by turning you into a small leech thingy that's faster than your running speed, and taking a chunk of your health once it inevitably catches up. So, what's the plan? Parasite is like Goldilocks. You can't get too close, you can't go too far. You have to get it just right by carefully walking alongside it. Some hate this chase. Some say it's boring, and that it takes way too long. Personally, I love it. You don't always get the chance to be up close and personal with such a fearsome creature. And after all these years, I think it's pretty cute. Like, yeah, it's pretty scary to be hostage walked by an alien, but also, look at it. Look at that gurgling flesh and locust and tell me you don't want to hug it.
Ah yes, Specimen 11, aka Beef Demon. We first encounter him in room 710 in what appears to be a fast food restaurant. From the notes we can find around the place, we learn the story about an employee working at a weird restaurant, where people keep coming back for more burgers in short periods of time, and the manager's not allowing outside food. In the end, the employee quits because the burgers are giving them hallucinations. This odd story seems to explain how Specimen 11 catches his victims. His cat toss entry explains that the victims that Specimen 11 takes vanish and the remaining show up days later. He is the only one ineffective since the souls of the victims don't remain when taken down by him. Specimen 11 is a typical floater that goes through walls, and he gets faster if we get too close and look at him. He causes some hallucinations and the doors to disappear out of vision, so knowing the room layouts can be very helpful. Luckily, we can use the axe to attack him, but this doesn't stop him, simply makes him teleport to another location, so we never know in which direction he can come from again. If we die to Specimen 11, we find ourselves in a red and long room. We must walk forward until we find him, and then his game over screen appears, along with some binary code. Specimen 11 was inspired by a level made by Kira, the developer of Spookies, on a game called Little Big Planet. The level was called 100% Beef Corp. The other inspiration was the well-known fast food restaurant Arby's. And here's a fun fact about him. While he chases, you might hear some groans coming from him. If we play that audio backwards and faster, we can hear sentences such as "Stop running away" and "I will catch you." So pretty much like Specimen 8, Dear Lord, he is talking to us, but in a hidden way. He's the best specimen, don't change my mind.
Specimen 12 is an old Victorian mansion, but I'm the old man who's the host of the mansion. I'm really bad at hide and seek though, because I can't find my contacts. Has anyone seen my contacts? Anyways, you have to hide at various spots throughout this area in room 810. And make sure you press E or spacebar to activate these spots, since there's no prompt in the original game. But I'm really bad at finding you, because I don't have my contacts. So as you finally are able to escape, I'm really slow, and I can't keep up. So, yeah, all you gotta do is just run, and that's it. I don't even have a sprinting mechanic like I do in HD Renovation. Just be careful at Hall 13, the one with the locked door, 50-50. If you choose the wrong way, just be really cautious, because I could kill you really fast in 3 hits. I only have a half-second cooldown, so you need to make sure you build up enough stamina. And also do not use your axe on me as you run past me, or else I will tear you up and destroy you. At least I'm good at that, right? Anyways, I don't think there's really much else to say. This chase is really easy, isn't it? I'm just really slow. Maybe you could wait up for me? If you find my contacts, just let me know. Thanks.
Specimen 13, or the Siren, resembles a young white woman with shaggy gray hair. Before you start the chase with her, she is sitting on top of a floating crate with her back to the player. And right after you encounter her for the first time, she dives into the water, and this is where you begin your chase. Specimen 13 sits in a flooded room where there's a ton of crates that elevate the water. Now, these crates are your guide and your soul to surviving with Specimen 13. With Specimen 13 can only attack when you're in the water, and your stamina is limited, and you're also a little slower in the water. Not quite, though, because for some reason the player's as fast as light. But Specimen 13 will dive around the water, just chasing after you with pretty high speeds, honestly. And in OG, she can apparently go through the walls, which I don't know how she does, but she somehow does it. If you are attacked by the player, she does 20 damage with a 3-second cooldown. So, oh no, sorry, 45 damage. 45 damage she does in 3 hits for 3-second cooldown. So she does a lot of damage. So if you're caught in the water, say your prayers. But if you know what you're doing and you know how to manage your stamina, Specimen 13 is a very simple chase. It may be a long chase, but sometimes you have to endure long chases. Specimen 13 sort of resembles Amnesia, or Kranich from Amnesia. It was pretty much inspired by that. And with Specimen 13, she's not the hardest specimen in the world, but she is difficult if you don't know what you're doing. That's why this guide is here to help. And Specimen 13 is the last specimen from story mode that we are covering, and we're going to be doing endless mode relatively soon. So yeah, this has been the comprehensive guide to Spooky's Jumpscare Mansion. And remember, stay on the crates. Only move when you are ready. Bye-bye.
Congratulations! You did it! It was interesting watching you swing your axe around like that. I know you'll make a fine specimen.
Specimen 14 is basically just you. But if you're too violent, that's basically it.
Congratulations, you've done it. You can go home now, and if anything changes, we'll let you know. Bye.